Welcome back to the Xuan character reviews. This is the inner circle composed of traditional martial artists, and next we have Prayuth. Another very popular martial art in fighting games is Muay Thai. It is present since the Street Fighter game and the form of Sagat and Adun, and Wang includes its own character in response. But first, I'd like to start by the convoluted development of Prayuth. In the first prototype, we saw a girl with that name, but she was quickly discarded. Then Tencent showed some promotional pictures about an upcoming character, and he was, well, a little too much traditional. Prayuth looked like a very bland and generic, unappealing Muay Thai fighter. The design reminded me a little about Shura from World Heroes, but it actually almost falls in the bland design style from Buriki 1. Still, there are some things I dig about this prototype design, especially the gloves and the weird eagle-like belt. Still, I don't think they will be that detailed in the final sprite. So, most likely realizing how unattractive Prayuth was, Tencent revamped his design into one almost completely different, and that way we got our final Prayuth. Now with a lighter skin tone, a very little traditional blonde hair, spiky gloves, and a huge champion belt that he doesn't even care to take off during a fight. His ridiculous socks were changed into more classic wrapping bands, and they recolored his short pants and added some letters on it. And that was basically the change, but it came with a nice change on his personality as well. He looked dumb enough in the first picture, but in further artworks he looks more self-confident, daring and cocky, contrasting with the serious face from the first one. This promo image added a big cape he enters the ring with, what adds up to a more spectacular champion persona, and I particularly like it, in part because it makes him very different to other characters of the like. They also included some scars on his chest to signify it doesn't matter he is only 17, he has a long road as a fighter and he is truly a warrior. And Prayuth's alternate has been just revealed. It's great to see finally they're taking some feedback from the polls and letting us decide what costume we want. The costume looks fine, but I have to say I missed this poll and I couldn't vote for my favorite, so I'm going to do it right now. The costumes on the first row looked pretty good, especially A to C, but you know they are also very generic and none of them looks much like Prayuth in concept. I like much how B and C look, but I will have voted A since at least it's a more original costume. And from the ones of the second row, I guess B is a traditional Thai attire, so it will have been better for him. And J what Prayuth as a Kathowi, I prefer to think they were kidding with that one. The new costume was not bad, even if it looked a little much like Rugal. By the way, new character Shinmo was appointed to be introduced in the game the same month as this alternate costume, so it's a little redundant having two characters dressed almost the same in the same month. And also, I don't like that his pants are like almost the same as Bracel's. Isn't a little too early for having characters cosplaying like other characters from the same game? It's that or I think budget sketching them on. Whatever, the alternate doesn't look bad by any means, but it's still a little too simple and I don't think it will look great within the game. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if they decided to recycle his prototype skin, as apparently it was even finished. I would actually like that because it will be a very curious detail for us who like to learn about the story behind the game's development. So better let's start with his gameplay already. I got to say I like this character much, and while many of his animations, including his stand and especially his normal attacks, are taken straight from Joe from Fatal Fury, he managed to show off an original game style with much potential. They gave him a chargeable projectile and he has a double knee uppercut, but otherwise his style is based around chains of moves that can vary into different attacks, a little like Guy Tendo on The King of Fighters 11. And how good it was! Prayuth's repertoire includes running teleports, slide kicks, knee strikes, elbow strikes, launchers and smashes. But it seems in the end everything revolves around elbow strikes. The idea had been explored first by Capcom with the add-on character on Street Fighter Alpha, but outside of a couple commands and super combos, he didn't take that much advantage of them. Instead, Prayuth uses his elbows for everything, developing an original game style that's visually very distinctive from other Muay Thais. He is also one of the only characters of the game that takes advantage of ki, and his ki strikes are pretty brutal, I have to recognize. Some of his attacks are also accompanied by water splashes, I think. Something I like very much about him is that every one of his moves are named after a different animal instead of a single one like Huayai with his dragon style or Sagat with his tiger style. That gives Prayuth a more wild sense related, I guess, to the Thailand wildlands. The effect is very interesting and makes the character more fascinating. The animations and poses are really good and fluid, and they transmit very well the intensity of Prayuth's fighting style. I'd say particularly outstanding, and an incredible tribute to this spectacular martial art. Now, his background implies he was born in the slums, and he made his life around Muay Thai circuits, so he is a fighting prodigy. He takes care of a sister as well, I think, so what's not to like about him? Another thing I like is that he is considerably younger than not only the regular Muay Thai practitioner, but younger than most of the rest of the cast. He is only 17 and you can say it because of his design and attitude. He is even younger than Jan, but his fighting skills are way better polished. It shows that effort has its reward. But his young age also comes out to portray him as overly ambitious and self-confident, somewhat reckless but also vulnerable. By the way, Prayuth's alternate costume is said to represent him in his early years when he was a young survivor in the Thailandian slums. And if he is 17 in present time, I guess here he is 14, 13. Doesn't seem to me, and I don't think that will be reflected in game. Furthermore, it seems he ages backwards as his hair was white when he was young, but it is not when he is older. Cool. So the idea of presenting, instead of a traditional seasoned Muay Thai veteran, an energetic and reckless youngster, which not because of that is weaker, is a clever idea and somewhat innovative in the history of this martial art portrayal in fighting games. The story says Prayuth had his ass beaten by Ahmed and his soul almost consumed, yet he refused to give up and went to the tournament to try even harder. You have to grant this guy has serious guts, and that's very likable. His voice is also extremely awesome, filled with energy in every attack, quote, and pose.
Double kick, crocodile, elephant wall.
So there's no way you could resist to him. In the storyline, Prayuth was rescued from Ahmed by Ray, by the way, so I guess if the game's building up to feature a team-based roster, he will be in Ray's team, but who knows. The important thing here is that they are connecting the characters with passages of the plot, and that's good. So in the end, Prayuth is a great character with a strong and attractive personality, and because of all that, including his charisma, detailed and flashy animations, and expressive voice acting, I could say he is instantly likable. And no doubt, one of my all-time favorite characters of the game too. And I'm looking forward to his story to develop. Will he have his revenge against Ahmed? Find out in the next episode. Nah, not really, but we are going to review Panda. So, see you in the next Xuan character review, and thanks for watching.